More than 6 decades after independence, millions of children in India remain excluded with no access to school education. Excluded, shut out, remaining marginalized and vulnerable as the generations before them. As also for those children who are enrolled in schools, majority of them get a kind of education that has little or no relevance in their lives. Recent private reports and surveys conducted across India have shown an average of 33% increment in the enrollment rates of children between 6 to 14 years. Particularly owing to the massive state and national level initiatives like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. However, as we go beyond the enrollment statistics, the reality strikes a different chord. Apart from children who are not enrolled in schools, there are children within the school system who drop out or remain irregular due to a range of socio-economic, cultural and political reasons. Where high enrollment does not match up to the regularity and retention in schools, it is but natural that the rate and degree of exclusion goes unchallenged. In June 2008, Plan India commissioned a study to identify reasons for exclusion among out-of-school children, in order to get a clearer understanding of the nature of efforts and interventions required for planning effective programs and advocacy initiatives. The first objective of this study was to identify the out-of-school children between the age group of 6 to 14 years who fell in 3 categories: children who never enrolled in schools, children who dropped out, and children who enrolled but didn't attend school regularly. The second objective of the study was to locate the inhibiting factors responsible for exclusion. And the third objective was to find the extent of awareness of relevant government programs within the community. From the selected plan areas of Delhi, Bihar, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh, a sample criteria was developed in consultation with the Plan India's partner organizations in order to minimize any kind of a subjective bias. A sample of 5 villages were randomly identified first in each district and were rated on a scale of 1 to 7 on parameters like remoteness, connectivity, demography, vulnerability to disasters, and caste-based or communal violence. The villages scaling to the highest score of vulnerabilities were then selected by the research team, and each participant from the partner organization was trained intensively on diverse participatory research tools. Transect walk, social maps, Venn diagrams, force field analysis, visualizing dream schools. Not only whose reality counts, but who counts reality is the key issue in participatory research. It was a keen observation of this research process that local community members can be far more effective in suggesting appropriate solutions, as they have more capacity to analyze their own situations. Whereas we as researchers offering an outsider's perspective remained as highly sensitized persons who are willing to initiate dialogue with people on more or less equal terms. This way, in the process, all participants could become agents of change. In national statistical data and other quantitative research studies about children, adult versions are sought to make a genuine representation of a child's life experience. Acknowledging this underrepresentation of children in studies about children, a conscious attempt was made by the Plan India team to involve children and young people in participatory research as researchers, rather than mere subjects. In the study areas of Uttar Pradesh, 8.6% of total children between the ages of 6 to 14 years were found to be out of school. Out of these, 66% children had never enrolled, and the rest of 34% had dropped out of schools. In sample villages of Bihar, 20.6% of total children were found to be out of school. Among them, 56% had never enrolled, and the rest of 44% had dropped out of schools. In the case of children who are enrolled in schools, the percentage of irregular children was 42.9% in Uttar Pradesh and 40.2% in Bihar. These findings reveal a stark difference when percentages of the irregular school children are clubbed together with percentage of children who never enrolled or dropped out of schools. In almost all the villages, non-enrollment, dropout and poor retention were found to have linkages with dominant caste alignments. Community resources and institutions such as schools, Anganwadis, Panchayat bhavans and ration shops were also usually located in the higher caste tolas, whereas the marginalized community households were located in the outskirts of the villages. This implied that the dominant groups had control over the approach road and an overwhelming command over the school system. It was also found that the dominant group, having access to schools, were less committed towards education, as compared to marginalized groups who desired educating their children, both boys and girls.
झगड़ा करके और ज़्यादा बोले किताब का पेन छोड़ लेगी।
तुम लोग का कौन ले चोरा लेके भाग जाता? मास्टर साहब लोग क्या करते हैं?
कुछ नहीं, बैठा था, सिर्फ बैठा रहे कि ना हमने क्या टाई के पुना बैठ जाए है, पुना टाई के अब पुना बैठ जाए हमने कटाई के।
अब जितना शिक्षा दे हैं उतना हमरे चमारन के शिक्षा नहीं देते। और लड़की लड़का का भाई मन पर पढ़ाई के और माई बाप का मन पर पढ़ावे के।
जैसे हमारे गांव में भी स्कूल में भी नहीं है, दूर भी स्कूल भी है, फीस उसकी भी ज़्यादा लगता है। मेरे मम्मी पापा इतना कमाई तो है नहीं, फिर कैसे जा पाएंगे? फीस वगैरह माफ हो तो फिर पढ़ सकते हैं।
सभी बच्चे जो दलित हैं, अल्पसंख्यक हैं, यहीं जो है बच्चे मिलेंगे जो विद्यालय से बाहर हैं। अनुसूचित जाति में बच्चे सभी जो है लगभग अब विद्यालय में आ गए। इसकी जो है अवेयरनेस के गार्जियन को ही, मेरे ख्याल से जो है गार्जियन को ही अवेयरनेस कराया जाए तो उससे जो है हमारे बच्चे विद्यालय